Frost, Eddie, and Frank show. It's 9 o'clock. On 9 o'clock on Mondays, we get Christian Hand to stop by to break down a rock song for us. What's up, man?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mr. Rosa, where were you?
I was,
What
was I
sounds
doing?
like that
What was
sounds
I doing?
illegal. You know what I'm saying?
It's medicine.
Yeah.
It's a prescription I got from my doctor. I really intended on going, but I might have smoked so much marijuana I forgot to go.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a good time.
Well, I heard you had a great time.
Yes, blast.
Awesome
Yeah.
party.
Eric messed up his jaw getting in the pit because he thinks he's 12, but he's really an old man. So
Yeah.
well
Oh,
done.
I
Can't
got
be
the
doing
mosh
that.
pit, you
Yeah.
guys. And I got knocked down bad.
He's the only one of all of us who's actually unconscious before the day was over.
Well done, well done. Well, I thought that we would. We've pretty much. We've sort of. It's been a wide berth that we've covered in the. And I want to thank you guys because it's been like a year and a bit that I've been doing this, and it's been a lot of fun coming in
Yeah,
here
it was
and,
fun.
and slowly learning which ones of you I can't stand and which ones I like enough to be able to sit in a Monday morning at 9 o'clock and do a thing with you. So it's been a lot of fun.
So if you think you know who we can't stand, go ahead and text us right now. Text
Rick Astley was my favorite. I don't think we can top Rick
Yeah,
Astley.
that's going to be hard to do. So I thought that we'd do this because I love Oasis.
Oh yeah.
And Oasis is a band that America never really got their hands around because they could only understand the ballad version of the band. But Wonderwall, obviously a huge hit, Champagne Supernova, the other one that Americans loved. And it seems remarkably simple. It is, but it hides some lovely secrets. It sold 22 million copies worldwide, which is a huge amount of records. They played shows in England where 250,000 people showed up for 2 nights in a row at Nebworth, which is enormous.
And they're brothers, right? And they don't like each other.
They are so famous in England that there was a thing called sibling rivalry or wibbling rivalry, depending on which copy you got. That was a recording of them having an argument that went to the top of the pop charts for like 3 weeks, which is amazing if you think about it. So let's listen to the glory that is Wonderwall from Oasis from the What's the Story Morning Glory record, which is my favorite. Their second album, the second fastest selling record in the history of England, next to Michael Jackson's Beat It. Bad, believe it or not. So these guys are national heroes. Their drummer on this track is a guy by the name of Alan White, whose brother is Steve White, who plays with a guy named Paul Weller, so he's huge rock and roll royalty in the UK. Their first drummer was a guy named Tony McCarroll, who was their buddy, who got kicked out because he wasn't good enough for Noel. And let's see who knows their Oasis trivia. Do you know who their current drummer is?
Nigel Olsen.
It's not Nigel Olsen.
Oh.
It's actually Ringo Starr's kid, Zach Starkey.
Oh!
So he finally got a Beatle into the Oasis camp. So, he was stoked about that. So here we go. This is Alan White. And this, we might have to listen to this whole drum track because it's surprisingly brilliant. On the brushes, here we go. Groovy. Little ghost notes happening on the.
Christian, since you're a drummer, and most people aren't, why would a drummer choose brushes instead of sticks?
Because on this song, you don't want the big smashy bashy backbeat. You want something with a little more delicacy,
Finesse.
Yes, exactly. That's the word. And he does. I mean, this is like, but the groove, these little bits, these little fills that he does. Tasty. This is what happens when you've got a man who knows what he's doing.
Is it harder to play brushes like that than sticks?
No,
Hard to play?
it's just as easy, but I tend to hit really hard and they shatter as I'm hitting with them, so they suck. And there's a great fill coming in on the second, the stop into the verse. Ready? I love this. So one of the things that happened with this record that people don't know about is that Owen Morris produced it, and he was one of the first people to receive this box called a brick wall limiter. And the brick wall limiter allowed you to make the track as loud as it possibly could go before it went to distortion. And he did all of the Oasis, the first 3 records of the Oasis canon through that, which is why when it came on in a pub, it was louder than every other song on the jukebox. So then everybody else started having to make their songs louder and louder and louder to match the Oasis records. So this record actually started what they called the loudness wars, which are the reason that music got louder and louder and louder and louder. And it was these louts. Brilliant. I mean, listen to this. Oh, come on, people.
Spinal Tap One Man War. There's amps go to 11.
Everything. But it's so groovy. And then this fill right here is my favorite, right? You had no idea, because when you listen to it in the song, it doesn't appear to be that busy, but it is. Ready?
Today was gonna be the day, but they'll never throw it back to you.
That's why you bounce your head when you're listening to a ballad that you didn't think you were bouncing your head listening to. So the bass player on this one, usually the bass player in the band is Paul Bonehead, because everybody's going to have a nickname. But Bonehead didn't play on this because he was taking... Shockingly, he needed some mental health time from being in that band. Being in a band with Noel and Liam from day one. So he took some time off, and there was a guy by the name of Scott McLeod who played bass on this. And the cool thing about this bass line is it doesn't really do anything. It just does this. And the tone is...
Bassy.
dirty. She's a pro, man.
I'm getting
She's
it.
learned a lot.
Finally, you're in
learned
some change, Christian.
This is it. Also way dancier than you would have thought.
Rattling my chest bones.
It should be. And then you put the drums in. Way dancier. Way dancier. Listen to the... I love that you picked up on it there, Frosty. This bit... it's all over the place. Infinitely more complicated than you need it to be, but...
You see, if it didn't need to be more complicated, is there a point when they're doing takes and recordings of different tracks where like, you know what? Let's make this more complicated.
No, because what this is, right, is these guys picked up the crown that was left hanging by a band called the Stone Roses that were possibly the most influential band to come out of the UK. That went like the Beatles and the Smiths and those guys, and then the Stone Roses were the first to invent this baggy thing, which was sort of dancey English rock. So this is all a complete head nod to that, because it always had to have this sort of dancey thing to it, because that was kind of like what the music had grown out of. So the fact that they took a ballad and did this is exactly what they wanted to do. It wasn't like, oh, let's just keep mashing around until we find something. This is definitely a total, like, if you want to hear the song, find Fool's Gold by the Stone Roses. It'll change everything for you. But this is it. This is all it does.
For a dancey beat, it's all syncopated. It's not like a driving boom, boom, boom.
And it's
boom.
also not like a ballad, like slow drum beat. It's really moving behind. Pre-chorus. You wouldn't know that that's Wonderwall. Be like Hadaway. But this is why you'd sort of bounce your head when you're listening to Wonderwall, and you're like, why would I be doing that? So Bonehead, when he came back from his mental health days, played the Mellotron, which is an old keyboard that had 8-track recordings of each instrument, like each note on the instrument. When you press the key on like a piano, it would spin the 8-track, and it would make it go, and it would sound like...
Moody Blues used a lot of that.
Moody Blues did. It was used on Strawberry Fields by the Beatles, so he played it on this, and this is where you get the whole...
Who's on the shaker there?
I think that might be Alan White.
Oh, got it, 'cause it's
champion.
percussion instrument.
Yeah. He's
Could
in the
just
drum
be
department.
cricket.
Anyone for cricket? And then the chorus. First you get to the pre.
Tambo.
Yep, mandatory.
I love that Mellotron sound.
That's
it
really
great?
pretty, yeah.
It's such a well-constructed song, too. And here we go, chorus. Beautiful. Then we put the bass in.
Fill.
Thanks.
yeah.
It's a mouth fill.
Yeah.
Put the bass in. Does
More
this.
than a mouthful.
Ah.
Just a waste.
And now you hear why the bass and the drums are so important in their choice, because everyone else is doing this floaty bit. And then you put the drums in. It's not easy to get people to bounce their heads to a ballad. It really isn't. And these acoustics, Noel and Gwigsy. Little counter melody. It's gorgeous. And then in the end, he does this piano bit. Ready? Little refrain.
Pretty.
Isn't that pretty?
Have you ever played that instrument that he's talking about?
The Mellotron, yeah.
Yeah.
The keys actually move. It's pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
They wiggle. They move.
They actually make a new one. Somebody's made a new Mellotron, and it's gorgeous. Way more expensive than I would ever spend. But so if we put that in the mix, it's like, oh, that's where that was happening. Was it?
What a cool sound.
Beautiful.
Everything's in like a low register. There's nothing up high yet. And there's nothing.
We get some. It's really all down there because of the vocal, but we shall get to that after we listen to his brother Noel. And Noel is one of my favorite characters in the history of English music. If you have never seen an interview with Noel Gallagher, you should. There's a movie called Live Forever, which is about the story of how British politics took over the Britpop movement and sort of politicized it. And there's a series of Noel Gallagher interviews that are some of the funniest you've ever heard in your life. He's a brilliant man. So here is the acoustic guitars and electrics as played by Noel, and flawless. Oh, so the best part is somebody asked him what the song was about. So it's sort of named after George Harrison had a thing called Wonderwall music. So he had this Wonderwall, and it sort of became known or suggested that this is about his wife, Meg, who then became his ex-wife. And he said, no, it actually wasn't. But the difficulty was that once somebody said that Wonderwall was about his wife, how was he supposed to turn around and be like, actually, it's really, it's not really. That's a tough day coming home from work, where she's like, so it's not about me? Is that what you're saying? No, it is, but it isn't. But
Hey,
yeah.
buddy, I love you.
So simple. And as George Martin said, if you can't reduce a song to either the piano or an acoustic guitar, you haven't written a good song. And this one holds up beautifully, obviously, as an acoustic song sitting around a campfire. And this is all it does for the verse. And then some beautiful stuff happens. Then we'll put the strings in. Right?
There we go.
It's gorgeous. And then on the pre-chorus is where he earns his keep. Right here. Some of my favorite pieces.
I mean, you could just sit and listen to just
Right?
That seems like that's a song that you could play on the guitar, then this guy picks it up and it just totally blows you away.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
steals
give me
the
that.
girl. It's like,
Give me that.
yeah, I know how to play that too. Let me have it.
Oh, what are you doing?
Dude.
Wonderwall, dude? Can you do this bit? No. I can't. We put this in. And then the chorus, so simple. Same as the verse. And then in the second verse, he does this really cool additional thing with the guitar where it just plays the regular bits, which is this. And then he overdubs this.
So pretty.
And if you listen on headphones, it bounces backwards and forwards. Gorgeous. And then back into the pre-chorus. And that's it. That's your whole song. It just does that. Put everybody else into it. And then the ending, when the piano happens. It's absolutely beautiful. So one of the things that Americans never really understood about Oasis, and you've having been to Ireland, I imagine that you would have seen this, especially if you've been to a football match, as we would call it. One of the things that Oasis did was they took the terrace chant, right? Like when you go to a soccer match, as you Americans call it, because you're heathens, everyone's singing, and there's like a song for that football club, or even like You'll Never Walk Alone is the Liverpool thing. Like each team has like their own song, so they don't just do that, you animal.
I don't know.
It's a little progressed. So the idea of getting the whole crowd to sing along was mandatory and like built into the Oasis stuff. So the melodies are very simple, but they're incredibly memorable and they're really catchy. So when you listen to this vocal from Liam, who has one of the most recognizable voices in music, and if you listen to what he's doing, he's kind of like John Lennon meets John Lydon, like the way from the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten. So the way that he cuts through the mix is so specific to him. And this vocal seems simple, but it isn't. And if you listen to what he's doing, he's putting the melody into your head constantly. And there was a battle as to whether Liam would sing this or Noel would sing it. So they had to have an agreement that Noel would sing another song so Liam could sing this one. And nobody else could have done it like this.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
Brilliant tone. It's so beautiful.
Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
There's nobody else. And then he does this.
And all the roads we have to walk are winding. And all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my Wonderwall.
So it's written specifically so that the average person can sing it. It's like, it's not acrobatic. It's not a Queen song where you're going to have trouble doing it. It's like 25,000 people in a soccer stadium can easily play.
Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me.
And these are not easy to...
Today was gonna be the day, but they'll never throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you're not to do.
Pushes a little.
I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
In the support of his notes,
And all the roads that lead you there were winding.
lands on it. Boom.
And all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how.
All right, so we're going to test the theory because none of you are any good at it. So let's all sing along, shall we?
Okay.
I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
Maybe it's not written.
Maybe it's not.
But
Well,
not
the
for
thing is-
everybody to sing.
Like you said, it's great tone for him, but you can be off, but you're still right on board with
Yeah.
it. Like the crowd doesn't matter. Like,
Doesn't
you can be
matter.
flat, and you're still right there with it.
Because everything gets pulled
Yeah.
in because it's a chance. Like,
I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, come on, Eric, you're my wonderwall. I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. Let's do it out, Liam. Ready? All together. I said maybe you gotta be the one. I said save me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
you're terrible.
Oh
Thank
my
you so
God,
much.
that was awesome.
That's totally
That was so
Because you can
much
be
fun,
drunk
yeah.
and still sound great singing that song.
You can be drunk, you can be high.
That was
It's
you
a
can-
Wow.
whole new light on that. I always wonder why, because those notes are so long.
Yeah, yeah.
He didn't pretty up with some
No, no, no.
vibrato or whatever. But no, it's a sing
so
along.
that everybody in the
Wow.
terrace chants can sing along.
That
to it.
makes total
so
sense.
It's a brilliant
smart.
conceit.
What a
So
nice little bit of trivia.
that's why they are Oasis. So anyway, that is from What's the Story, Morning Glory, their second record. You should get it. If you haven't got it, listen to it. It really is my favorite Oasis album of all of them. My name is Christian James Hand. Thank you for having me in. I will be, believe it or not, I'm going to be doing a guest lecture at UCLA this Wednesday.
Look at you, Professor.
You have to wear a tie.
I know.
Oh, you gotta wear patches on your elbows.
Yeah,
and,
I'm gonna do.
yeah, all right.
I'm gonna wear a sleeveless shirt and then just have leather patches on my elbows.
What are you lecturing about?
What is that about?
patches tattoos.
I'm gonna be doing a Doors special deep dive clinic at a music.
I
class
love a deep
sometime.
dive.
You know what I'm
Christian.
saying? Yeah,
No,
that's
I
one of my
do.
favorites.
Yeah.
So you can find me if you want to know about the session stuff. I put up my ticket link for my Michael Jackson 2 show in May, sold out in 2 hours, which is mind-blowing. So please go to thesessiononair.com and sign up for the email list. The next show will be in June, which I'll be putting up the ticket link for soon. You can find me on Instagram at King Trut, on Facebook, Christian James Hand, and the Session on Air is also the way to find me on Facebook as well. And I will sell your information to Russian spies. So please sign up.
Thank you, Christian, for coming in.
Saves
We have to apologize now to those of you that we've offended and get the hell out of here.
Everybody.
Sorry to Worf, Spielberg, Radio Shack, and Taco Judges.
Portia Williams, Alfonso Ribeiro, Funerals, and Forever 21.
Will Smith, Wonder Woman, Blue Hairs in Des Moines, Iowa.
Red Cross volunteers, bus drivers, naked ghost hunters, and Mary Jo Kopechny.
Taxpayers, the Queen Mary, people who do karate, and lesbians driving hybrids.
Target, the homeless, Ben Affleck and Jack Osborne.
Homeless lotto players.
homeless lotto player.
Debtors prison. Kale's publicists, and people who use GPS in the car for the first time.
Trader Joe's, Ghost Story reporters, Oasis, and Chris Brown's girlfriends.
Millennials, old accountants, Anthony's wife's nipples, and people who don't speak English. Oh, wow. The Frost Eddie and Frank Show, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. You really have to listen to the whole show.
And maybe.
It's the verse. It's the verse. We're not at the
She's waiting till it starts. Way too
yeah.
soon.
Savages.